Is DJ Ennis, and welcome to Vote Right for America. In our last episode, we went over the 2020 Democratic presidential candidates and their delegate status just prior to the South Carolina primary. This primary was held the same day as my last Saturday evening posting, so the results weren't available then on February 29th. Now, not only the South Carolina primary results are in, but the March 3rd Super Tuesday primaries results are in as well. Just to recap, the Democratic National Convention will be held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin between July 13th and July 16th of this year. That's when the presidential nominee for the Democrats will ultimately be decided, as well as the running mate, the presidential nominee's choice for vice president. Bernie Sanders, the U.S. Senator from Vermont and professed socialist, was in first place going into the South Carolina primary with a total of 45 delegates. Sanders won 15 more delegates in South Carolina and about another 471 on Super Tuesday on March 3rd. The big news was that Joe Biden, the former Vice President of the United States, who was in third place before the South Carolina primary with 15 delegates, won 39 delegates in South Carolina, besting Bernie Sanders, and scored with an even bigger 542 hit on Super Tuesday. Sanders is now in second place with Biden in first. Only Biden and Sanders won delegates in the South Carolina primary. On Super Tuesday, Sanders won in California, Colorado, Utah, and in his home state of Vermont, while Biden won the other 10 states, including Texas, Oklahoma, Virginia, Alabama, and Arkansas. For the other candidates, they are like cows in a slaughterhouse. Pete Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, running for president for the first time, who was in second place before the South Carolina primary, fell into obscurity. He opted to suspend his campaign the day after the primary on March 1st. He announced his endorsement for Joe Biden. Elizabeth Warren, the U.S. Senator from Massachusetts, who was in fourth place before the South Carolina primary, garnered no delegates in South Carolina and a meager 60 delegates on Super Tuesday. She came in third place behind Biden and Sanders in her home state. She suspended her campaign 2 days after Super Tuesday and didn't announce any endorsements. Amy Klobuchar, the U.S. Senator from Minnesota, who was in fifth place before the South Carolina primary with 7 delegates, suspended her campaign the day before Super Tuesday and gave her endorsement for Joe Biden. Tulsi Gabbard, the congresswoman from the 2nd Congressional District in Hawaii, had no delegates pledged to her before the South Carolina primary, but managed to get 2 delegates on Super Tuesday from the territory of American Samoa, her birthplace. She remains the only woman in the race. Tom Steyer, a wealthy hedge fund manager, political activist, and environmentalist who had no pledged delegates, decided to call it quits after the South Carolina primary results came in. He came in third in the primary, but his percentage of the vote was less than the required 15% to win a delegate. He had only had about 11%. Steyer had spent nearly $3.5 million from his own personal funds running for president. Michael Bloomberg, billionaire and former mayor of New York City, who had missed the deadlines for consideration in the Iowa caucus, the New Hampshire primary, the Nevada caucus, and the South Carolina primary, was hoping that the fortune he spent on television, internet, and radio ads would boost himself in the limelight of presidential contenders on Super Tuesday. He won onesie-twosie delegates from 9 states and 4 delegates in American Samoa. He dropped out of the race the day after Super Tuesday after spending around $676 million in his own money. Now it appears it's down to 2 old white guys who are competing for delegates for the Democratic presidential nomination. They have to weather the primaries and caucuses to be held on March 10th, March 17th, Happy St. Patrick's Day, March 24th for Georgia, March 29th for Puerto Rico, April 4th April 7th, April 28th, May 2nd, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo and the Indiana primary, May 12th, May 19th, June 2nd, and June 6th. These two old white guys believe in the egalitarian political economic philosophy approach, which I had discussed in some detail in episode 3, and how this isn't good for America. Of the two, Bernie Sanders has the more extreme positions. Biden's is a lighter version, but given his campaign's attention to detail and his wordy plan for us on his website, should be enough for us to know that his path is somewhat dark as well. Bernie's extreme plans worry a lot of folks in the Democratic Party base, especially the establishment Democrats, for they view his more control-freakish ideas will scare Democratic voters so much that they'll stay home or vote for President Donald Trump, an outcome they don't want to see again. Those establishment folks and older folks, voters in the Democratic Party believe that Joe Biden is a safer bet. Even if he comes across as too milquetoast to win, at least they won't be viewed as extreme, as socialists, even though there's just a matter of degrees between Democrats and socialists. The rest, the Bernie Sanders supporters, are basically saying, what the hell? Let Bernie Sanders be the nominee. Maybe he'll win and we'll get the government we wanted in the first place, rather than dragging this on and on and on until finally everyone gets comfortable with it. But will the entrenched establishment Democrats give Bernie the shaft like they did in 2016 when he was vying for the nomination against Hillary Clinton? With the 771 superdelegates the Democratic Party still has, these unpledged delegates who go into the National Convention may burn Bernie again. Or will they have to? Can Joe Biden, the former VP, gain the confidence and support of primary voters and caucus participants on the road to the National Convention sufficiently enough to prevent a brokered convention or highly contested showdown between his supporters and Bernie's? If Biden becomes the presidential nominee, would he draw enough public support to defeat President Trump in November? Or is it all a circus for our entertainment? Considering that any Democrat running for president or any office has the wrong beliefs regarding the extent of the role of government, I'll settle for the circus, get entertained, and watch the libtard mainstream media talking heads drop their jaws like they did in 2016 when they glumly announced that Donald Trump has won again. In future episodes, we'll cover some of the specific positions of these two Democratic candidates and correlate them to the ill-thought-out egalitarian political economic concept and how wrong they would be for our republic. You are watching Vote Right for America. Please subscribe to this vlog. It's free, and you can also email me with your comments and questions at vrfa.djinnes@gmail.com. And please comment. I'll use your comments and questions to clear up matters and concerns you have in future episodes. Good evening.